In this lesson, we're going to finally come to the end of the sociological theories and introducing them one by one. We've talked about functionalism, we've talked about Marxism, we've talked about feminist and interactionist theories, and now we're going to talk about the new right and new right theories of sociology. And this is again going to be a very brief introduction because the majority of the theory and the sociological ideas that we're going to talk about are going to be mainly in the videos when we start looking at and analysing different aspects of society in more detail, so things like education and crime and deviance. But let's just briefly overview what some of the new right theories of sociology advocate for. Now, new right theories of sociology actually share very similar characteristics with functionalism. Okay, they are very similar theories. So they are very similar theories. And as such, you will probably work out that if they're very similar theories, they share a number of similarities, then they're both based on the idea of consensus structuralism. They're both based on the idea that society and determining factors within society and the way society is shaped and the way it operates, that's mainly determined by the structures within society. So things like the education system, things like policing, things like family structures and cultural structures as well. They both hold beliefs that society requires institutions to maintain it. So there's a requirement that institutions are to maintain different societal structures. So things like education systems, education systems, things like policing, things like family structures, and the new right places a lot of emphasis on family structures. So family structures, and all of these and a number of others all come together and play a key role in the functioning of society, just like how functionalism describes. However, there is divergence with functionalism on a number of issues, specifically in relation to the new right's emphasis on the nuclear family. Okay, the nuclear family. We're going to define what the nuclear family is in a minute. So according to new right theories and theorists, the family is one of the most important aspects of society. So if we look at some of the institutions within society, we look at some of the institutions that play key major roles within society, the new right would place a heavy emphasis on family structures and relationships. And they argue that the traditional nuclear family is one of the most important aspects of society. So not just any kind of family structure, but specifically the nuclear family. And as such, it forms one of the most important social institutions. Now, the concept of the traditional nuclear family is something that has developed over a long period of time, especially during the 1950s. That was when it was really heavily emphasized in places like the United States during the Cold War and the concept of the nuclear family. And it is the general traditional view of the family, the Western traditional view of family, with a man and a woman as parents, so a mother and a father, okay, and we have children, usually 2 children, and one of the main important things that defines the nuclear family is the roles that these people play within the family. So the man is the breadwinner, the person who goes out and they go and provide, they go to work, provides for the family, and the woman stays at home. The mother stays at home. So mother stays at home. And as you can probably imagine, this is the traditional understanding of the nuclear family. And that is a very basic understanding of the nuclear family. Now, there's technically no evidence that the nuclear family is in any way superior to any other kind of family structure. And a number of new right theorists have proposed that the nuclear family is a very old, very traditional understanding of family structures, when in reality, the concept of the nuclear family has only existed since the 1950s. And I mean, specifically, the term nuclear has only existed since the nuclear revolution when it comes to the discovery of the nucleus of the atom. So it's not like this is a 1,000-year-old tradition. But according to the new right, this is a crucial aspect of the functioning of society. The society functions better when we have an emphasis and we have an emphasis placed on the nuclear family and the importance of nuclear family structures. And as you can probably imagine, because there isn't an emphasis placed on nuclear family structures, generally speaking, at least not directly placed. There might be some indirect indications, indirect messaging to suggest that the nuclear family is the quote-unquote norm. However, this has shifted quite a lot in recent years. But as we've seen that there isn't much emphasis placed on the importance of the nuclear family, there is a view and an understanding within the new right of there's being some kind of societal decline. Some would even go so far as to suggest that there is societal collapse. Societal collapse. And this is very dramatic, but according to the new right, society has been in a steady state of decline, according to a number of new right theorists. And this, as Charles Murray, a new right sociologist, argued, that the traditional family structure and the concept of family structures in such a way are in a state of decline. Now, this isn't just necessarily a rejection of the nuclear family, but there are a number of other aspects of society. So first of all, we have the rejection of the nuclear family. Rejection of the nuclear family as being one of the contributory factors in the decline of society. We also have the rejection of conservative values. Rejection of conservative values. Now, what we mean by conservative values is there tends to be some kind of traditional religious understanding behind conservative value. So traditional religion. So especially in the West, there is this notion and this idea that there is a rejection of things like Christianity and traditional Christian values, something that with a rise in atheist values and a rise in other religions has been something that has shown the decline. However, that's the case in more Western states, but if we went to, for example, the Middle East or the Far East, there is decline in things like Islam, because conservative values can exist within other religions as well. Of course, that makes sense. And we also have again, the rejection of the nuclear family, and we also have the rejection of gender roles. So we have a changing of gender roles, within society. And this is something that the new right likes to place an emphasis on feminist movements. And whereas feminist movements would argue that yes, there is changing in gender roles, they wouldn't say that that's a bad thing. That they would say that was actually a good thing. It's a good thing that we have a changing in gender roles and we have more women doing what would be traditionally described as men's jobs and men's roles, for example. And that's a good thing. That's a good change. But according to the new right, this is an example of a decline in societal values, and this leads also to a decline in moral standards and thus a breakdown in society. Now, the extent to which any of this is true or false is something that we're going to get into when we go through the lessons individually and we go through looking at education, religion, and family structures. But this is what we generally understand to be a number of aspects of the concept of societal decline and societal collapse, emphasized by sociologists like Charles Murray.